It's absolutely true. The executive job market is brutal right now, and I think it will stay this way throughout the course of 2026. So what do you do about it? Let's talk about that today. Welcome into the channel. My name is Tom, and I'm the founder of Vertical Motion, where we help good people become great leaders. Specifically, what we do is we help mid-career professionals who have 10 to 15 years of work experience, maybe a mid-manager level, you've got some management experience, and you just can't quite seem to figure out how to break into the executive ranks. Well, that's what we do. We have a program called the Executive Career Accelerator that helps people move to the next level. If you want to learn more about that, check the link down below in the description of this video, and you'll learn a whole lot about what it really takes to move to the next level, because there's a lot of hidden tricks there. But today what I want to talk about specifically is, quite honestly, how brutal this job market is and what to do about it. Now, the entire job market is really tough, but it's especially tough for executives. I have several C-suite clients that I work with who have told me time and again, the opportunities have just dried up and gone away, and everyone's folding up shop and waiting until January or February to even think about hiring. And a lot of people who were planning to retire are now thinking about staying a little bit longer. People that were planning to move on from the role that they were in, they're kind of sticking around a little bit longer. So it is a very tough market right now. I'm going to talk through what the three things that are holding this market back, and then I'm going to talk about what you can do specifically in order to actually move forward in this kind of job market. So let's specifically talk about the challenges and what's really happening to drive this very difficult job market for executives. First and foremost, there are some serious economic headwinds that are out there right now. We still are suffering from high levels of inflation, and that hasn't gone away. There's high interest rates, which slows down the economic activity of large corporations who use and borrow money in order to invest in things. There's a bunch of geopolitical factors, right? I'm not going to get political on this channel, but I will say that the reality is that the world is in a lot of turmoil in the Middle East, in Europe, in the United States, and elsewhere in the world. And specifically here in the United States, we're dealing with the specter of tariffs, which is making everything 100, 200% more expensive than it was a minute ago. And finally, all of this is just uncertainty that's really making it hard for companies to lean into investing in what the future might be. If they invest $50 billion into a factory in the United States, and then the government decides, well, we're not going to subsidize that, they could go bankrupt. If they continue to invest in offshore manufacturing capacity, then they could be hurt by this government. And so companies don't know what to do right now. And so that uncertainty, the high interest, everything is just kind of leaving everything in this state of, I don't know what to do, so I'm not going to do anything. And all of this is particularly impacting, like I said, white collar executive roles. And most importantly, it's just shrinking the pool of opportunities that there are for executives to move around. And the market is saturated with really great talent right now. And so remember that 20% of the workforce is always going to be hired, but you have to be seen as someone who's in the top 20% of the workforce. So even with a shrinking pool of opportunities and a really impressive list of candidates for each opportunity, if you're the best, you're the one that's going to get the opportunity. And positioning yourself that way is what's really important. And quite honestly, right now, the hidden job market has become way more important than it ever was before. So what is the hidden job market? The hidden job market is realizing that sometimes as many as 90% of executive roles are never listed online. And so when you are looking for opportunities, you're looking for opportunities that are publicly available, but that is the tip of the iceberg. 90% of the opportunities are never publicly listed. They're usually created for specific individuals, sometimes written by the individual themselves. That's how 4 of my executive roles were, that I wrote the position description for my job as president or executive, whatever my title was, VP, C-suite executive. So I wrote my own position descriptions, and that's how a lot of executive roles are actually formed. Think of it this way. You're not fighting against someone's resume. You're fighting against their relationships. Do your relationships match up to theirs? That's the question you want to ask yourself. So what's the second factor that's really impacting this job market for executives right now? The reality is that the leadership criteria used to measure an executive is really changing and changing radically right now. So executives need to demonstrate a proven ability to lead through volatility. There's a perfect storm of market uncertainty and rapid technology change that's happening right now. So companies are looking for action-based leaders who can drive transformation, not just manage the status quo. So you need to be showing up as a transformational leader, someone who can come in and make a profound impact in a positive way. But more than that, executives are now expected to understand how to leverage AI for efficiency and for growth. AI isn't necessarily replacing jobs, but what's happening is the people who know how to use AI are replacing 10 people with just one person now using AI as a multiplying force. And also, in terms of evolving leadership criteria, there's a new emphasis for finding executives who have strong empathetic skills and lead from a purpose-driven leadership perspective. Candidates now are judged more on their ability to create well-being, offer flexibility, and lead inclusively in more remote and hybrid teams than ever before. So leaders need to have far more emotional intelligence than they used to. Gone are the days of the boss barking out orders and yelling at everyone in his office. That's gone. Now, leaders and executives specifically need to know how to lead very diverse teams, how to be inclusive, how to work with people that are local, that are remote, that are hybrid, that have all kinds of human challenges. That's the reality of the workforce today. And so you need to show up more empathetic. You need to learn how to be an empathetic leader and lean into your emotional intelligence. Now, the third reason why the executive job market is brutal is probably the most frustrating reason, especially from my perspective. And that's that there is a slower technology-driven hiring process happening more and more in corporations and even small businesses now. The average hiring process, according to one study, is now greater than 60 days to hire a mid to senior level executive. Think about that. 2 months to interview someone? Come on. Now, in my last job that I got back in 2020, just before the beginning of the pandemic, I was identified, interviewed, and then went to a final interview all within about a 30-day window. From the time that I started the process to getting the offer letter and finally negotiating and accepting it was about a 30 to 35-day window, so about 5 weeks, right? It's now double that. It takes 2 months. And quite honestly, what's happening is a lot of executives that are being recruited, they're ghosting the companies because it just takes too long. Now, part of this is because AI automation is being used more and more to screen applicants and candidates, but using technology and using AI is not an effective way to measure people, right? There has to be a human eye on this. And what's happening is the AIs, these applicant tracking systems, they're screening out perfectly great candidates, and they are missing the best leads in the pile because they're using very rigid tools and rubrics for what makes a good person. And the reality is that you just can't glean from a resume what somebody actually is and what they deliver and what they bring to the table. And also, the old school approach of relying on recruiters and looking at job boards for finding executive roles, that just doesn't work anymore. It's not enough for candidates to find or be found for their next opportunity. Successful candidates need to modernize their search, the way that they're going about, instead of just calling recruiters and saying, hey, you got a job for me? Or calling companies like, hey, is there an opportunity here? No, you have to turn this around. You have to treat yourself like a billboard and shine the light on yourself and show that, hey, I am a solution to your problem. And when you do that, people will find you instead of you trying to find them. So economic headwinds, evolving leadership criteria, and slower technology-driven hiring processes. These are the 3 reasons that the executive job market is brutal right now. And I don't think this is going to change for a while. And so the reality is that in order for you to be in this market, to have a chance in this market, you have to have some tools in your tool belt that you haven't needed before. So to move forward in this time of year, so this is late 25, early 26, mid 26, if you want to move forward in your career, you're going to need to do some things very differently. And I'm going to give you 3 tips on what you can do right now to start getting these opportunities coming to you instead of you trying to go find them yourself. First and foremost, you need to build a personal executive brand. You need to have a brand as a solution to somebody's problem. Someone needs to read something that you write or hear about you from someone else and realize, holy cow, this person is exactly the solution to my problem. I need to have a conversation with her. So brand yourself in a way that you are a solution to a problem, specifically an expensive, difficult problem that very few people know how to solve, right? 2, you need to turn yourself into a billboard. And you do this by putting yourself out there. Now, introverts hate me saying this, but the reality is if they don't know what you're capable of, then you're not going anywhere. You need to think of yourself like a product. And there has to be marketing out there for people to know this is the best darn product ever made. If you're really good at something, people need to know that. And they're not just going to get that from your resume, or it's just not going to magically appear in their mind that you're very good at something. You have to put that out there. So you need to turn yourself into a billboard and light yourself up. And finally, you need to demonstrate your executive skills, not just your professional skills. You need to demonstrate executive skills through thought leadership in other ways, right? Being on stage, having conversations, being on podcasts, writing articles, writing a book, writing blogs, doing YouTube videos like this. Put yourself out there and let people see your executive skills, executive presence, management, communication skills, your strategic thinking ability, right? All of those things, your ability to transform and convince other people to believe in a transformation. Those are the skills that you need to be putting out there for people to see you as an executive. And so if you build your brand, turn yourself into a billboard and start demonstrating your leadership skills, that's how you're going to get opportunities coming to you instead of you having to go find them. Now, I teach all of this and a whole lot more about how to actually move forward in getting your first or next executive role. And I have a book called The Executive Career Handbook that teaches everything that I'm talking about here and a whole lot more. There's a framework in here called the Whole Executive Framework that teaches you step by step how to become an executive. When you are a mid-career professional, when you're, say, a senior manager or high-level individual contributor, and you want to move to director, vice president, or C-suite, this book will help you get started on that journey. And then when you're ready, we have a program called the Executive Career Accelerator, which is a 6-month intensive program that teaches you 6 years of executive skills and how to present those skills in a way that attracts opportunities to you. We teach you all of that in 6 months. This program is now the culmination of 3 years of hard work by me and several other coaches who have poured thousands of hours into perfecting this, and it does work. So if you learn more about that, click a link down below to book a call with one of our discovery coaches, and we'll talk about what the right opportunity or the right program for you might be. There might be just specifically one product that you need, or maybe the whole program is the right thing for you. But if that's too much, start with this book. It's $10. Go to the link down below, wholeexecutive.com. You can get this book for $10 and you can get started on your executive career journey. Because listen, in 2026, the executive job market is not going to get better. It's probably going to get worse. And the people who are going to get executive jobs in 2026 are the ones who have these advantages in their back pocket. So, because I see all the success in our program, I see people getting jobs, getting promoted right now, and they are orders above everyone else who doesn't have all of these skills. So I hope this is helpful to you. I'd love to work with you if you're interested in that. Go check things out. Go check out the book. Go check out the program. Hopefully I'll see you on the inside sometime, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.